Welcome to Sovereign Mamas, the podcast sanctuary for visionary women who are building lives, businesses, and legacies in alignment with their feminine power. I'm your host, Julia Jerg, intuitive business coach, mama of two, and systems strategist for solo-led entrepreneurs. Here, we honor both your sacred role as a mama and your wild vision as a changemaker. Expect soul-aligned strategy, raw storytelling, behind the scenes, and powerful conversations that support you in scaling your business without sacrifice. If you're done choosing between success and sovereignty, you're home. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Sovereign Mamas podcast. This is your moment to breathe and enjoy, relax, and get inspired and just replenish from the busyness of motherhood and entrepreneurship. So welcome, Sonya. I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to have you here on the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So we briefly chatted, and I also, just full transparency here, this show is for moms and it's a busy life, and I intentionally designed this podcast so that it can actually naturally flow with my rhythm. And maybe this is the first tip of today, because nothing is sustainable if it doesn't fit your season, if it doesn't fit your lifestyle and drains you. And so the Sovereign Mamas podcast was born from that, stretch between I have this vision and this clear message. I had a download after meditation, and it was so clear, start the podcast. Even though I was stretched all over, I was preparing for a move, relocation, from one country to another. And I was in between moving boxes, actually house sitting in my friend's house on Koh Samui in Thailand. And I was recording the first sessions in her kitchen in the middle of the night, and it was like crazy. But saying all this, it the recording sessions always felt kind of fun. They were not high maintenance. And so if you do something in your business, and we'll talk about business today, Sonya is also coming on with her knowledge, and I will read her bio in a second, or share a little bit. I just want to give you this as a nugget today. If you can do something that you know is meaningful and connecting with your audience, make sure that you enjoy doing it. I've had no problem, publishing every week one of those beautiful episodes that I record as I go along, as I connect with women like Sonya on threads. We are connected, and so this has been very easy to sustain. But I see a lot of women. I would love your take on this, Sonya. Who are doing something because it's a trend, and then they fall off the wagon because it's just not sustainable. And so, Sonya, you do, like, you're a wealth expansion coach. You also have a podcast, and you help intuitively driven entrepreneurs who want to build profitable businesses, doing what they love. So this is what you do, and share a little bit about your experience and what you feel women nowadays are struggling with the most.
Yes. Okay. So I loved your story of kind of like you got the intuitive hit and then that kind of fueled you. And for me, that's such a big piece of the support and permission that I bring to my clients, which is listening to your intuition is logical. Because I find that most of my clients are pretty clear on like what they want to do, what they're here to do, what really lights them up, what would sustain them. And they also have the voice, the ego inside their head being like, that sounds a little crazy. That sounds a little out there. Like, no one's going to pay for that. But I find that the more we can honor those intuitive hits, actually, the better our life and businesses flow. And so I like to say alignment isn't easy. It's just what's right for you. And so we do have to put in effort. And like you were saying, like you're recording in the middle of the night, like, for some people, they'd be like, well, that isn't worth it. I would never do that. But there was something that was fueling you, right? And so I think when we can lean into what our intuition is calling us to do, we can find the ways to make it possible, and it has to be customized, right? So, like, I'm very anti, here's my blueprint, here's how I do things, now you should do it the same. For me, it has to be, how does your brain work? How does your body feel? How does your business, like, what's the vision for your business? What's your lifestyle? And let's customize the tools and offers and schedules and practices so that you do feel excited to show up, that even when you are maybe low on energy or you're having a crazy time in your personal life, you are like, okay, but I'm clear on what I'm here to do. And I have tools and resources and offers that actually energize me, that care for my energy. And I'm able to, yeah, show up for myself and really feel like I'm doing something on purpose and also receiving for it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And that's exactly how I work with my clients too. But it took me some years to actually get there. And I don't know how you found your way of um, really connecting with this as your leadership inside your own business, because I feel we are so, when you look at outside and you look at all the noise on social media, then there is this like to be honest, now I see actually a trend going away from it. But there used to be a time when there was like, oh, I have the blueprint, the 10 steps, and here are the cookie cutter solutions, right? And everyone was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I need that. And so it's hard as a coach to say I'm doing the exact opposite. But this was when I pivoted in my business, after giving out blueprints and noticing, oh my gosh, like one woman kills it with it and the other fails. And I was like, what is it? Like the strategy is the same, but it
Yeah.
was the person, right? And so what was your aha moment when you said, okay, that is
Mm.
not the approach?
So I think for me, when I first started this business, it was very much like, I say, the universe hit me over the head with a calling, because I was in a totally different business. I had a photography business.
Ah,
And then I really like had this calling from the universe to actually start speaking. And so that was my original like plan for this business, was I was going to start a blog and I was going to start speaking. And I did start like pitching myself and getting speaking gigs, and I was speaking about um, like being a freelancer and money mindset for artists, and I was talking to like college kids and stuff. Um, but I hired this coaching team. It was a husband and wife coaching team. They were business coaches, and they were like, we were photographers and now we do business coaching for other creatives. I'm like, perfect. They're totally going to get it. Right. And then I spent 6 months basically doing absolutely everything they told me, spinning my wheels, creating every possible freebie list. And basically, I ended 6 months with like zero income made, zero real clarity on like what is the business, being told that I shouldn't do speaking, that I had to do coaching, that I had to start online, that I couldn't do in person. Like, basically having my vision ignored and trying to put me into this box of becoming a coach, which, like, fun, it was funny because I wasn't intending to be a coach in any way. I didn't even really know what that meant yet. But I walked away from that 6 months saying, okay, that was the absolute opposite of anything that I want to do for people. And I know that if that's what coaching is, I can do it 100 times better. So I really felt like I understand something about being a creative professional and making money and the mindset. And I have chronic pain. I also didn't know at the time, but I had ADHD. And so I had created like systems and structures for me to thrive. And I knew that I had also always been a highly intuitive person, and that I was always the person that people came to for advice. And so I continued on my path, my journey of doing speaking. But then I also started like doing webinars with coaching. And I found that the more I actually got to like converse with people and talk to them, I was like, oh, I actually am like a natural coach. That's actually what I've been doing my whole life. You know, like I'm a very deep listener, I'm very intuitive, I'm a great problem solver. And so I started coaching and just found that it made so much sense to me that things should be customized. And um, I think at the time, I mean, this was, you know, like 9 years ago or so, there wasn't so much a focus on like scale everything, everything's a group, there was a lot of one-to-one work. And so that was how I started. And so that's where I really saw my clients having results. And I actually did do groups from the beginning as well, but for me, it was always about like bring to the table what you're working on and get individual support.
Mhm.
And so, while of course there's overlap, right? People have common challenges and things. I've just always found that it makes the most sense that we're customizing our journeys here.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I guess that's how I got started with it.
Cool, cool. And then you do something with the Akashic record reading, or is that just like how do you implement that? And maybe give for the listeners who haven't even heard of that term a little intro about this.
Yeah. Okay, so the Akashic Records are, I like to describe it as the documentary of your soul. So they're not a physical record, it's a collection of wisdom. And anyone can access this. I'm very big on like, there's no gatekeeping, I'm not special. Um, and it's a way to understand your soul, which has been here for many lifetimes, most likely, and to really get insight and guidance and healing um, in order to understand and accept yourself and love yourself. And so I found that it is absolutely like a must have in my coaching these days because soul guidance is also super practical and amazing for business insights. And when you're someone who's like, okay, yes, I'm ambitious, but I'm not going to like ditch myself in the process, ignore my health, right? Like you want a holistic perspective and support process. The records are amazing for that because we can do healing on so many levels and get very practical, customized guidance. And so I found like again, I had like this very intuitive moment of like, I need to learn about the Akashic Records. And I went and I studied with someone, and it was just such a perfect fit for me. And um, I found it so helpful for myself. And then once I started using it with clients, it was like, whoa, people were blown away. And it just fits so perfectly into the work that I was already doing and really the people that I was attracting who are like mostly intuitives themselves are into that kind of thing. They want some spiritual healing stuff. They want intuitive guidance. They're really like open-minded. And so it was such a perfect fit. And the way that I combine it now, it kind of all flows together. But basically, there's a process for which I open your records. And then you can ask any kind of question. And it's all about possibilities and giving you the most relevant and aligned like insight and messages. And so it's not about predictions, but a lot of times my clients will find like, oh my God, that is exactly how it unfolded. You know, like how you brought it through is exactly what ended up happening. But the thing is that it's very affirming for people's intuition. And so that's really like a special piece is that people will come in, not tell me anything that's going on, just kind of ask, like, what do I need to know right now? Or like, what should I be offering? And their guides will bring through exactly what they've been thinking about. And so, again, like your intuition is keeping you on track already. And so I use that alongside kind of, all the business wisdom that I do have from, I've run a business for over 14 years for myself. And then also, like, records are great for mindset work as well. And so oftentimes they'll give like some great guidance, and then we can talk it out, more fully. Um, and so, yeah, it really just all flows together so beautifully. But I find that giving people this like gift of talking to their soul guides, um, and like, you can connect with your soul guides yourself, but it's helpful to have like an unbiased party sometimes deliver the information. And it's just so helpful, that in a way that like me just using my brain, it couldn't be, right? Like, our brains are limited, and so this really brings in just so much more, like, support and context, and really like that customization for
Yeah.
the growth that people want to
No, I
dive into.
100% agree, and I love the Akashic record. Um, I don't know, like topic theme. I did my reading as well, a bit over 2 years ago, and it just blew my mind how, like you say, it's not so much about finding out big revelations or something, but it is the confirmation because sometimes you have a feeling and then it just takes courage to trust that feeling. And when you
Yeah.
hear it back from someone who hasn't been in your mind, like you say, then it's just like so reassuring and you can more confidently move forward with that idea or letting go of something. And confidence is everything, right? When you go through life, like how great it is to feel like really sure about something. So yeah, I love that you incorporate this. I love that you give this to your clients and have this as part of your business coaching. I actually the person who did my reading is a good friend of mine, and when we did do my session, or she did help me with the reading, then we said this is so brilliant, and then we created a workshop for mompreneurs. This was in person in Thailand back then. And it was like exactly what you just said, right? So we did go into the Akashic records for each and every one, and then we designed their next steps in business. So yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. We're very aligned.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so cool.
And so obviously you right now are also navigating some, in your personal life, some challenges with a toddler being around. Let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about you as the mom in this picture. How is
Yeah.
yeah, how are you? You're working from home?
Hmm.
All your coachings online?
Yes. So, yep, I work from home, and my daughter was home with me full time until, November. So, just a couple months ago, she turned 2 in October, and then started daycare, like 3 half days a week. So, she's still mostly home. um, and yeah, it's definitely been a big shift, in terms of kind of like work
Mhm.
scheduling. And I think for the first year of her life, it was a lot easier for me because babies sleep a lot. And it was really like, it wasn't that big of a deal, to keep running my business. But I definitely made adjustments. And then over, yeah, the last year, I definitely had to navigate, like, not just scheduling, but also I think some of the frustration for myself of feeling like, oh, I can't just work when I'm inspired. I don't have the energy that I used to have to kind of like create and show up. And that was hard for me. That is still hard for me because there's some days where I just really don't have the energy and I would like to do things. And I also have to be just extra compassionate and like gentle with myself and really lean into knowing that like business will be there tomorrow. This is just a season of my life. I am putting a lot of like trust in what content I'm putting out there having a big impact without me having to like post 5 times a day. And so yeah, it's definitely been like a shift in capacity. Um,
Mhm.
and I know like it's gonna keep shifting, right? As she keeps growing, it's gonna keep changing. So I've definitely become, I think, more adaptable and flexible
Mhm.
and yeah, just kind of understanding too. I think not only for myself, but for like clients or collaborations of like, oh, you're running late, or like you can't actually do it today, or like my kid's sick, we got to reschedule. I'm just kind of like, all right, it's okay. We're going to figure it out. It's not life or death. Like,
Yeah.
we'll
I
find our way.
I always joke and say we're not brain surgeons. So yes,
Yeah.
you want to be on time, you want to make everything like you plan, but then at the same time, that life can wait.
Yeah.
That's not going to end the world or your business. But I find, and it's really you're really describing it very graciously because this is one of the toughest phases of motherhood in these early stages when you come out of the baby phase and into the toddler phase where you suddenly realize, oh, this is actually more hands-on.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, baby, don't get me wrong, there's a
Yeah.
full on and the hormones and everything and no sleep and oh gosh.
Yeah.
But it kind of is like you say, this first year, it's kind of like, okay, baby can still like be put somewhere and you can
Yeah.
do something. But now these little humans want your attention. They are showing up with personality suddenly. They do things.
Yeah.
They like it's a lot more, it requires a lot more of your attention when they're around.
Yeah.
And so that's partially one of the reasons why I also birthed the Sovereign Mamas book series, Secrets of Sovereign Mamas, because I feel that when we come really clean and real with our revelations and our realizations throughout the phases of motherhood and share this with the world, women feel or mamas feel more seen and like, oh, okay, I don't have to beat myself up about
Yeah.
not feeling like great. Like you say, you want to create, you have maybe this insight and pre-kids, you were able to sit down and just like have this flow of creativity and how amazing
Yeah.
this feels when you get something out of your system and you just can do whatever and now suddenly you can't, right? So these are the moments, these are the truths that I find haven't really talked about enough. Like the world out there says, okay, yeah, it's going to be hard or whatever. You change, but I always think about this image of entering a secret club before you were a mom. No one really told you the ins and outs of motherhood. And then you're in and everyone looks at you and said, now you know. Welcome.
Yes.
It's like, huh? Hang on. And so with this book series, I wanna shake this a little bit and also give moms who are doing it and still keep going and still say, no, 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 I am raising little humans and I still, keep going with my mission. I want to create a legacy business or I'm just following my passion and want to realize my this urge of also being a creative and a guide. And so having that book series made so much sense as well, as alongside the podcast. But the podcast is always a little bit more. It's short. We can't go into depth. While when you're writing your story out and the little scenes and the codes that came up for you and that you live by now is powerful. And so what do you feel right now is, you already said it, like there's like this challenge of maybe pausing, maybe not having the energy, but what was the things, and maybe as an advice for someone who's in the stage or not even there yet, what did you adjust? Like what systems are now in place where you say, okay, this helps me have a little bit more
Yeah.
peace of mind.
Um, I think, it also is different for everyone. And I will say, um, I feel like I had an easy entry into motherhood, and I felt like I was preparing for an experience that other people had told me about of
Mhm.
like, you're going to lose yourself, you're not going to feel connected to your body, all this stuff. And I was grateful that that wasn't my initial experience, but um, there was like 6, 7 months in, my mental health really took a dive because my baby basically stopped sleeping. And so all of a sudden, I was like really a zombie, and my mental health really kind of shifted. And so
So,
um, therapy has become like non negotiable for me, and working with a therapist who specialized in like motherhood and postpartum.
mhm,
Um, so I've been working with the same therapist for, yeah, like almost a year and a half. And that was really like a key tool for the mental and emotional side of things. Um, and then I think giving myself permission um, to shift things in my business kind of as I need.
mhm,
Because I think for me, like I'm motherhood has definitely challenged like my perfectionism and like my control, and even kind of like my urge to really show up like polished and professional. I really had to let go of that so that I could still move forward. And so letting go of the idea that like I was going to seem flaky or inconsistent or, like not reliable. Um, I really had to kind of let that go and allow myself to shift as needed. And so, like pre baby, I was like, I don't work on the weekends. That's a non negotiable for me. I need to have that time. Now I'm like, I love a good Sunday work session. I'll take client sessions on Sunday nights because my husband's home. It's chill, it's calm. I can do it. That works for me. Doing like evening calls where, again, like my daughter's with my husband, that works for me. And just knowing, like, okay, what works for me is ultimately going to work with the people that I'm meant to support. And like, I just have to not stress so much about being so available to
mhm,
everyone. I think both in work and in like personal life, that has been a big challenge of like set my boundaries, but also really honor what drains my energy and who drains my energy, and um, asking more of my husband, my partner as well, because I
mhm,
think that's one thing that if you're like hyper independent and then you have a baby, like guess what? You're gonna need a lot of freaking help. And it's uncomfortable to ask for it. And also, if you've been with a partner who's not used to you asking a lot of things,
mhm,
like it's a shift in the dynamic. And so that for me was also a big one of like asking for more help, not feeling guilty about it. Also, like all of a sudden, communication really shifts. I think that was my experience of like, first of all, my brain does not have the power that it used to. My mental health is different. Um, I got diagnosed with ADHD, so I was learning all about how my brain works. So I have almost been having to like relearn communication with
mhm.
my husband in particular when like, you're both probably um, un- underslept. I don't know how to say that. Not having enough sleep. Not running at your highest capacity.
Mhm.
And there's a whole lot of things that are internally going on with me that he's not having the same experience of. And so that was a really big thing that I realized was that the way I mother is different than how he fathers. And so
Mhm.
communicating my needs and my anxieties, my worries, all the different things, that's been really a big process of, yeah, learning how to like communicate with each other in a way that's effective. Yeah, I would say those are my big takeaways.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so much going on, right? It's a lot to navigate. It's a lot to, um, yeah, you can't even like you have to live through it to understand what it actually means, and then still like there's no manual, there's nothing, and finding yourself in your ways then through these hard times and these like unhumanly hard times sometimes when you're really like stretched, and especially like when the babies are not sleeping, then that on top, um and life goes on, right? And you're still like trying to, or you have to like show up. So absolutely, I love how you create those systems that help you really still show up and be doing what you're doing. And I know that this is something that you also teach your clients, that they're happy humans along the way, because there's no point in doing everything if it then feels like a drain or if it feels like a burden, right? So this is
Yeah, and sometimes you have to experiment, right? Like you don't know what's going to work for you until you do it.
Mhm.
And I think that's definitely been a thing, both like in business and life of well. It's like, well, okay, let me try it differently and
Yeah.
see what's going to work for me. Because yeah, sometimes like I remember when she was younger, and I put out this idea for like a group program, and as soon as someone signed up, I was like, oh,
Oh.
nope, that's actually not going to work for me. Like the price, nope, that was a nice idea, but in reality, like it was all of a sudden immediately like, nope, that wasn't it. Um, so I
Yeah.
think, yeah, just like giving yourself grace in figuring out what does work for you is like it's such a process.
Yes, it is. Yes. I love it. I love it. Maybe maybe as a final question for you. So what are you looking forward to? I mean, this recording is happening at the beginning of 2026. I know the episode is not coming out right now, but if you want to just like give a little bit of an overview, is there anything exciting that you're working on right now?
Yeah, my big focus at the moment is setting up more in-person group events
Mm,
for Akashic readings this year. So
okay.
I've been doing so much virtually, but last year I did a couple things in person, and I really felt like intuitively that's what was on the agenda for this year was doing almost how like mediums have events, doing that. And so I've been already like chugging away on the back end to connect with different spaces and places and collaborate with people to bring this work more to more people and in person. So that's definitely a different like a different thing than I've been doing. And yeah, I feel like I think that I feel very called to support business owners and entrepreneurs and like professional creatives, but I've also been doing more just like straight readings for people who are interested in like their career and their relationships and supporting their kids. And so I know that this work, specifically with the records, is so powerful for anyone and everyone, really. And so, yeah, creating more opportunities where people can come have a sample, see what it's like, and yeah, be in like a cool space. So I've been reaching out to, different yoga studios and like holistic wellness studios, and I'm excited to see, yeah, like my community expand and just have more people get this experience.
Oh, fantastic. I love the idea. And that's going to be in Massachusetts, like where you based. Okay. Good. So
Yeah.
people listening in the area, obviously we will link to your website and social media so they can contact you. But yeah, good heads up. And great. So they when you do the events in person in a group, is this then you pick someone and do the reading in front of others, or how do you actually do that in a group setting?
Yeah. Oh, there goes my headphone. Yes, so I've been doing group sessions online where it's like a small group and everyone gets a question or two. And
Oh,
I
okay.
found that that works really beautifully. And so, yeah, bringing that in person. And I think for me, like, I was feeling into it, right? Because the mediums do it like where not everyone gets a reading, but people
Mhm.
show up. And I was like, nope, that doesn't feel right for me. I want to read for everyone. So doing small events, not tons and tons of people, but like 10 to 12 people at a time, where we're not there for hours on end, but everyone gets a chance to have a reading, ask a question or two.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, so that's my vision for it. And yeah, I've done a couple different like formats for in
Mhm.
person. Um, I got to participate in like a 1 day retreat where people, a group of people were there, but then they came up individually and had their like
Yeah.
mini readings. So yeah, it might go down in a variety of ways, but
Yeah.
it's cool having the group reading because I do think it's one of those things where hearing someone else's like messages and insight, even though it is so personal, like I love the quote, what's personal is universal. And
Mhm.
so I think that we can often like get, you know, take away wisdom and insights and inspiration even from other people's questions.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. And we're all connected and we're all going. And this is also why this is such a powerful work, because once you hear other people's questions and you understand you're not alone, because so often we're in our heads thinking, oh, this is happening to me. Oh, this is just me being, I'm not capable of doing the things in this way. And then hearing others struggling with the same things or having the same questions, doubts, it's yeah, very relieving. Is that even a word?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Hmm.
So amazing. Okay. Well, beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on. This was really fun. Definitely something that I love, enjoy talking about. We're doing very similar things, and so I always loves that other women are out there and working on the planet to really improve not only like the way we mother, but also the way we go about things in business. So, to the listeners, if you are now inspired to shift something in your business, to say, oh no, these ladies say if it doesn't work for me, I shouldn't be doing it, then let's look at what is actually working for you. And yeah, reach out. Sonia is here. I'm here obviously too, but whatever lands for you, if you feel inspired or if you had like this big breakthrough, comment, reach out, connect with us. We always would love to hear from you as well. Sonia, I wish you a wonderful, I think it's morning for you, right? Is it afternoon?
Evening.
It's evening. Okay. I wish
Yeah.
you a wonderful evening. My day just has started, and yeah, I can't wait to see what you're coming up with and stay in connection. All right.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for the conversation.
Yes, cool. Thanks everyone for listening, and until the next time.